So ever wonder if you could maybe have a bit more control over, where your life is heading? Today, we're diving into this concept called manifesting.
Uh-huh.
It's basically the idea of intentionally shaping your reality, attracting the things you desire, sort of stepping up and actively creating your life.
Right. And it can sound a bit, well, mystical, maybe.
Yeah, a little like magic.
But the material we've been looking at suggests it's actually a skill, something anyone might be able to develop.
Exactly. We've been digging into an introduction to manifesting. It's part personal story, part framework for the core ideas.
And our goal here is really to pull out those key insights for you. Look at where it comes from, what the first steps might be.
Think of it like a shortcut, yeah. Getting the gist of manifesting without getting totally bogged down.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot out there on this topic.
Okay, so let's start with the author's own story, how she got into this. It kicks off around May 2018.
Right. And she paints a picture of being at a real low point. She was 27, dealing with depression, addiction issues for years.
Yeah. Felt lost, no job, no real direction.
Yeah, and apparently even a yoga retreat in Thailand, which she hoped would be, like, life-changing.
It didn't quite work out long term.
No, it didn't provide that lasting shift she was looking for. She actually uses the phrase hitting rock bottom, a real sense of hopelessness.
Wow. Okay. But sometimes those moments are catalysts, aren't they?
They can be. And what's interesting here is how the potential shift came about. It was pretty ordinary, actually. She was just getting her nails done. She even remembers these small details, like candy pink nails, black leggings, an oversized denim jacket.
Ha! Yeah, those details stick sometimes.
And a friend just casually mentioned she should listen to something about, well, manifesting.
Just like that, in a nail salon.
Just like that. But it obviously struck a chord.
So it wasn't just a passing comment she forgot about?
No, not at all. She says as soon as she left, she was straight onto Google. What is manifesting?
Okay, immediate action.
And interestingly, the very first thing she focused her intention on was wanting unconditional love, something pretty fundamental.
And did things happen quickly? The source makes it sound quite rapid.
Remarkably so. Based on her account, she says within just a week of, learning about this and trying some initial practices,
Yeah.
she gets a message on Raya, the dating app, from an Australian actor, Wade Briggs. They had, like, zero mutual connections.
Oh, just out of the blue.
Completely. But she felt this strong pull. They started texting constantly, nonstop. Well, he was actually in London just for a few days after traveling a lot. They met up.
Okay.
And the connection was apparently so strong, he actually changed his flight, stayed longer.
Wow, okay. That's moving fast.
It really is. And then, get this, just 3 months after that first meeting, she finds out she's pregnant.
3 months.
Yeah. A very, very compressed timeline.
So fast forward, what's the situation now, according to her?
Well, fast forward 3 years from that point, and she describes their relationship as really strong. They're obsessed with their son. She's free from the addiction and depression.
That's a huge shift.
Massive. Plus a successful career, feeling genuinely happy, a sense of self-love. And she puts all of this transformation down to applying manifesting principles.
And she developed her own steps.
Yes, she mentions intuitively organizing it into 7 steps that, for her, seem to lead to this magnificent and rapid change.
Right. So beyond her own pretty dramatic story, what is manifesting, according to this source? She tackles misconceptions, right?
She does. She points out that common idea that's just, picturing stuff you want and poof, it appears.
Like wishful thinking.
Exactly. She realized lots of people either hadn't really heard of it or only knew that very surface-level version.
So she felt she needed to explain it more deeply.
Yeah, she describes it almost like a calling,
Yeah.
a real drive to teach other people how to tap into their own power through these techniques. She started with workshops, webinars.
And then the writing, presumably, to reach more people.
Right. And it's interesting how she frames it, not just as a passing fad.
Gosh, could it?
She talks about it being where science and wisdom meet, calls it a philosophy, a self-development practice, something aimed at helping you live your best life.
Okay, so positioning it as something more substantial than just, say, positive thinking alone.
Definitely. And she also points out, look, this isn't brand new. There's history here.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, she mentions William Walker Atkinson, writing back in 1906, his book, Thought Vibration, or The Law of Attraction in the Thought World.
1906. Wow.
And Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, 1937. That famous line, you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment.
So these core ideas have been around for quite a while.
A long time. And she lists more recent figures, too, people associated with similar concepts. Louise Hay, Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyer.
Eckhart Tolle, Oprah Winfrey, Dr. Joe Dispenza is mentioned too.
Right. So it really reinforces that this isn't some fringe idea that just popped up.
Yeah.
Her fundamental point is simple.
Yeah.
Manifesting, she believes, works.
Okay, so let's get into the how. She mentioned science. How does she explain the mechanics, maybe in simple terms?
She does try to simplify it. She starts with a nod to quantum physics, the basic idea that everything, fundamentally, is energy.
Right. Everything's vibrating. Us, the chair, the air.
Exactly. Different stuff vibrates at different frequencies based on, atomic density and so on. Everything's energy in motion.
Okay, makes sense. And how does that relate?
Well, then she brings in the law of attraction, the principle of like attracts like.
So high frequencies attract high frequencies, low attracts low, like tuning forks resonating.
Kind of, yeah. Or like tuning a radio, as you said earlier. You tune into a frequency, you get what's on that frequency.
Got it.
And the crucial link she makes is connecting our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings to this energy, this frequency.
Ah, so our inner state has a frequency?
That's the idea. And here's the key part. By changing your thoughts consciously, you can shift your emotions, right? And that shift changes your overall vibrational frequency.
And if you change your frequency?
According to the law of attraction, you start to attract things, people, circumstances, opportunities that are on that new frequency.
So that's where high vibe and low vibe come from, as shorthand.
Exactly. It's shorthand for these different energetic states. So it's not just about thinking a happy thought for 5 seconds. It's more about cultivating a sustained shift in your internal energy.
That feels like a really important distinction. It's an active, ongoing thing, not passive wishing.
Precisely. And then she has another layer, neuroscience, specifically neuroplasticity.
Okay, the brain's ability to change itself, rewire itself.
Yeah, our amazing brain flexibility. And the idea here is using that intentionally for manifesting.
How so?
Well, the suggestion is you can use practices like affirmations or visualizations consistently to actually strengthen feelings of self-worth deep down subconsciously, and also to challenge and sort of overwrite those limiting beliefs we all carry around.
The I can't or I'm not good enough thoughts.
Exactly. By focusing on what you do want, feeling the feelings of having it, you're essentially retraining your brain, priming it to notice opportunities it might have missed before.
So you start seeing paths toward your goals more clearly.
That's the theory. Your brain becomes more attuned to spotting things aligned with what you're focusing on. She actually recommends Dr. Tora Swartz's book, The Source, if you want to explore the cognitive science side more deeply.
Good tip. Now, the author often refers to the universe. How does she define that?
Yeah, she talks about the universe as this, well, powerful, almost magical force behind it all. It's something holding infinite possibilities, way beyond what we normally perceive.
But is it prescriptive? Do you have to call it the universe?
No, not at all. She's very clear that this is her word for it. She explicitly encourages listeners or readers to swap that out for whatever term feels right for them. God, source, energy, higher power, whatever resonates.
So the concept is flexible, adaptable to different belief systems.
Absolutely. It's more about acknowledging some kind of larger energetic field or potential that we're interacting with, however you personally understand that.
Okay. And one last piece she emphasizes is community, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
She talks about her Manifest with Roxy workshops and webinars and how these WhatsApp groups sprang up organically.
It's people to connect and share.
Exactly. For support, sharing resources, celebrating wins. She makes the point that finding your tribe, finding like-minded people, can get harder as you get older.
True.
So she sees her platform partly as a way to foster those connections. She lists ways to join in the webinars, workshops, a Facebook group, even a hashtag Manifest with Roxy, for people to share their own stories.
So it's not necessarily a solo journey.
No, the community aspect seems quite important in her approach.
Okay, so let's try and sort of pull this all together. What's the core takeaway here? This introduction really presents manifesting as a very active, potentially powerful way to shape your life.
Yeah, it's definitely positioned as going way beyond just wishful thinking.
It draws on, well, older wisdom traditions, but also tries to connect with modern scientific ideas, especially around energy, quantum physics.
And brain science, neuroplasticity, how we can potentially change our brains and our energy.
Right. It's presented as a practical tool, almost.
Mm-hmm. And it leaves you with a pretty compelling thought, doesn't it?
Which is?
Well, if you start to really consider your thoughts as having this energetic quality and understand the power of focused intention, how might that shift your perspective?
Yeah, how might it change what you believe is actually possible in your own life?
Exactly. What could you perhaps begin to consciously cultivate or make happen if you operated from that awareness?
It's definitely something interesting to mull over. Food for thought.